Matt, there's a group in Chicago called Chicago Flips Red. And we had the pleasure of meeting some of the members of that group recently at a meeting here in Washington. And we've got one of the members here today, Danielle Carter Walters. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Anyone who looks at YouTube and searches for what's going on in Chicago has probably heard of your group. But tell us a little bit about it and how did it start? Was there a specific incident that led to its creation, or tell us about it?
So I came along because we had me and my husband bought a building, and we had the building came with TIF money and things like that happened during COVID, but somehow we were zoned out for the TIF money, and we could never, when it come down to the neighborhood opportunity grants, we never qualified to get those grants. When it came down to small business loans, we were always denied, even though we did everything right. Great credit, get great financially taxes, showed our taxes, showed our income. So when I saw that, and then we were denied, but I'm seeing illegal alien businesses pop up all around my community, Venezuelan businesses, then I had a problem. So I started going down there. And then we just decided to have a town hall with everybody who was down there and had a gripe with the city. And then this is how Chicago Flips Red formed, because we are tired of seeing the corruption, tired of the citizens not able to achieve anything. And then now we see they're fighting tooth and nail for illegal aliens to get free everything off our tax dollars when we, the taxpayer, can't get anything. So that's how we started. And that's what you see now, Chicago Flips Red, fighting corruption. We have conservative values. We want to bring common sense back to Chicago.
So can you tell our viewers about what is being given to the illegal aliens in Chicago? Because sometimes we find people don't believe just how much free stuff is being handed out courtesy of the American taxpayer.
Well, they're getting free housing. They're getting free food, because when you go, I did a video and showed, when you go to one of those in Humboldt Park, where you go get SNAP benefits, you get Medicaid, things like that, you see them. The line is around the corner. Citizens, American citizens can't even get in that line because you have them sitting outside all night to get these benefits. So they're getting SNAP, they're getting free food, they're getting free housing because the government is paying for their rent for 2 years. They're getting free financial aid. They're going to school, allowed to go to school. They're placed all in our public schools. They're getting free lunch. They're getting free supplies. They're getting free Uber rides. We was at one shelter and we showed where they're getting free Uber rides, free transportation where they have to go. So it's everything they're getting free off our tax dollars. Now, mind you, we can't get none of this. They're getting Section 8 vouchers where they open up Section 8 only for them. They're getting put in front of people when it came down to the Salvation Army, where people were on the wait list to get their light bill paid, some of their rent paid, where they need furniture. They're being placed before all American citizens. And it's especially done in these blue cities and states. So they're making sure they're taken care of. While we're the American citizens, we're losing our home, our taxes, property taxes, steady going up, and we're just left in the cold while they're receiving free everything. So yes, it's very bad.
Danielle, your group has become very visible because of the red hats and the red hoodies you guys wear. For those of you out there who may not be familiar with your work, we have a short clip here. I believe this is Zoe at a meeting in Chicago, a public meeting, talking to the worst sanctuary mayor in America, Brandon Johnson. Let's take a look at this, and I'd like to get your thoughts.
You also took an oath. All of y'all took an oath. Y'all are straight violating the U.S. Constitution, but y'all sit and talk about how Trump is so unconstitutional and how he's going to overturn the government and he's going to do all this. But I've been coming here for 2 years. This is the Democratic Party. This ain't Trump. This ain't Matt Gates. We come from the federal level to the state level, to Governor Pritzker, to Kwame Raoul that we cannot find, who's the Attorney General, to you guys fighting for some illegal aliens who haven't put a dime in this country when my mother has a building that the city of Chicago Buildings Department demolished because this disgrace alderman over there, 17th Ward David Moore, didn't do his duty as an alderman. This falls on you.
That is great stuff, Danielle. To people outside of Chicago, I think there's a perception that the city is just solid blue. Everyone is in lockstep with these elected officials in Chicago. What has been the reaction to your group? Because there's videos like this all over YouTube of people from your group standing up to Brandon Johnson like this. What has been the reaction on the ground in Chicago?
It's a silent majority. What happens is people are scared to come out because they don't want to argue with people about supporting Trump. They don't want to. A lot of them work for the city, they work for the state, and they have businesses. And we know that this is the most corrupt city, and they will retaliate on you. Whereas if you're a business owner, now they'll be coming in, checking you, inspecting your businesses, talking about your business is not up to code. You will start getting, they're just bullies. Everything that they say Trump is, this is who they are. So people don't want to argue. People are not there. They're not here to call, so you can be called a fascist, so you can be called, how dare you align with a white supremacist. People don't want to argue about that because they know this is not making sense. They know what's happening. So they're just saying, you know what? I'm going to be in the background, and come election day, I'm going to show you. We get so many emails with people just telling us what's going on, but they can't come out and say anything. We get emails with people saying, hey guys, I'm with you all. Trust me, I'm with business owners saying, I'm with you guys. I can't wait to vote these people out. So trust me, we have the majority. It's just that people are not going to be, they're scared, just like my business. I'm a business owner, but because the media lie and they only show a little part of the truth, they have people not understanding what's happening. So when I first came out being very vocal about what's happening in our communities, what's happening with the illegal aliens when they were taking our schools, taking our resources, taking our field houses, and I was very vocal. And what happened was my business hurt because I trained Black women. And so when they didn't see me get behind Kamala and I didn't get behind her and I spoke against the policies, then my business hurt. But at this point, I don't care because we have to save Chicago. And saving Chicago, we save Illinois. So I don't care no more. I'm all for saving our beautiful city.
So we've talked a little bit about the things that the government is giving to these individuals. I think one of the other things the mainstream media doesn't want to report on is how badly these people are behaving. Can you talk about some of the things that have gone on in Chicago in the neighborhoods where you and your members are trying to raise families, conduct business, and just go about your lives, but you're being interfered with by uninvited guests?
When they first came, they placed them they took our functional field houses in schools. They took that from us. So they were placed in field houses now, and they were placed in the police stations. Now, my husband at the time was still working for the CPD. He's recently retired. But to see what they did to our community in the police stations, they had let me just be real. I got to say this because this hurt my heart. When my husband had told me, he said that it was funny that when him being a police officer all his life, during the cold, and it's brutally cold in Chicago, when the homelessness came to sleep in the police stations. They can come at night, but at 6 o'clock in the morning, at a certain time in the morning, before the police station opened, they had to put them out, and they had to go back under the viaduct in the cold. They had to do this. But somehow, when the illegal aliens came, they were able to move into the police stations. They were able to smoke weed, drink, prostitute, set up shop in front of the police stations, cut hair, sell food, everything, and be in the police station where we pay. And they were able to live there. So that's one thing I just had to say. But when they took over our communities, all we saw in the park, we saw needles. We saw needles because they were shooting up, prostitution. You heard music all night long, drinking, smoking, their music. They were setting up restaurants because they were selling food out there. So this is what our communities, now we are residential communities where we are homeowners. So we saw our communities become third world countries, things that you see where they're on the streets just selling. We saw that happen. We saw that we were being replaced out of our community. So where you will have a community that's predominantly Black, now you start to see them able to rent apartment buildings, and they were, because of what I told you was the landlords were getting money, big money, to fix up their buildings and to house them. So not naturally, what you're going to do is, where you had an American citizen who just can only afford 800, now the city is giving you 9,000 to house illegal aliens. What you're going to do, you're going to get rid of the citizens, and you're going to bring illegal aliens in because it's about the money. So we were being put out of our apartment buildings. They were being able to occupy them. And then with that, you saw more of them coming into our community, and we are being pushed out. In that, you saw them taking over apartment buildings. You will see more drug activity. You will see more prostitution. You would see parties all night, because, man, they don't work because we are paying for them to have free everything. So they were partying all night. At one building that was, I can't remember, it was on Brandon, but it was like 20 something, where they were throwing parties all night, all day. And I think around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was a shooting that happened, and it was really big. And residents had been complaining that that's all they do all day and all night. And when the police come, they can't arrest them. The police just say, hey, it's nothing we can do about it. So this is what was allowed to happen in our communities. And this is why you see, when you saw what happened on 75th and South Shore Drive, that was in the building with the ICE raid, because they were allowed to take over apartment buildings. Trendy Hour gang members had took over, and they just lawlessness. And people were calling. They have gotten many of calls about what's happening, but they choose to not listen to the citizens. They let them do whatever they want to do, and they cover up because they don't report this. And so we are just stuck in our community, just dealing with this, with no place to run to. You can't run to your mayor office because he's not even seeing people. You can't run to your police officers because we're down police officers, and they can't do nothing with them. They're told to stand down. So you have citizens who just feel like we have nowhere to go. So when you feel like that, what do you have? It's a bunch of hopelessness in our community, because this is what they brought on. And we didn't ask for this, but yet we're stuck dealing with this. So yes, it's crime. You have Venezuela. We have new game forming, what they call VD, Venezuelan Disciple gangs. Trendy Agua tags. You see them all on the buildings. Trendy Agua. It's just, driving. We're not even talking about driving where they are getting so many driver's licenses and they are not speaking English, so they don't even know the rules of the road. They can't even understand the signs, so they're just hitting cars.
So if anyone's wondering what kind of impact your group is having there, I was watching the president's cabinet meeting last week, and he actually referenced your group. Let's listen to that for a second.
So you have black women with MAGA hats on in Chicago, all over the place. They want the guard to come in, or they don't care who comes in. They just want to be safe. And they really don't care. You know, there was one woman, she was great today. She said, you know what? I don't care if it's the National Guard, the Army, the Marines, the Air Force. I don't care who comes in as long as we're safe. And that's the way most of the public feels. We're going to make Chicago really great again.
That is so cool, Danielle, that your work has put yourself on the president's radar. To his point, what do you make of the federal troops in there? Because your mayor is again spinning this narrative that the whole city of Chicago is boiling with anger at what Trump has done there in your city. What do you think?
It's sad in one aspect because we not even in our community because they're placed in ours. And they're now saying that they're targeting people of color and they're going to be there targeting Black people. And this is the narrative that they're spinning. And they have somehow convinced us to normalize this, to normalize high crime in our community, to normalize funerals, our kids dying. And now they want us to normalize people to come into our community and to commit acts of terror, because this is what's happening. We have the cartel literally running Chicago. As you see, they're putting bounties and doxing ICE officers, putting bounties on their heads. We have a fentanyl problem here. And so somehow they're trying, the media, the fake news should be really held accountable. They're trying to convince us that somehow ICE is the culprit and we should be mad at them, but we're not. People who are really dealing with this situation, we're not talking about people outside looking in. The people like me and my community that's dealing with this, we want this. We are very happy about President Trump listening to us. We have been very vocal from day one, going to City Hall. We have been begging Brandon Johnson when he first put them in our community, took over our resources, and we begged him not to do that, to spend our money in our community. We had schools that had closed. We don't have no mental health facilities in our community. We have high crime. Spend it on giving police more police officers. All of these things we begged him, and he ignored us, didn't think twice about us, told them to keep the buses coming and that he would not flinch. So now that we have a president that's listening to us, that's finally doing something that we need, much needed in our community. Now you have Brandon Johnson, Pritzker, demonizing it. We say, you know what, Brandon Johnson, if Chicago is so safe, why don't, and you hate the police because you are a defund the police mayor, why don't you get rid of the 150 police detail that he have that's tracking him, that's around him and his family, going everywhere they go? Why don't he get rid of them? Why don't Pritzker do the same thing? They want to convince us that somehow we're safe, crime is down, but he have the most police detail that most mayors have in history. So this is a slap in our faces because we're the ones stuck dealing with this. And we just say this, we were very vocal. We said, Trump, we don't care. Do not listen to these crooks. We need you here, because if we don't, the cartel is going to saturate and run our community like they're doing. We're going to be in our communities. Not only are we going to have to deal with our gangs and our kids who's killing us, Black on Black crime, we're going to have to now deal with the Venezuelan gang members, the 70,000 illegal aliens that they allowed to come in Chicago. We're going to have to deal with that. And think about it. they have not even got acclimated to what's happening because they've been here, what, 2 years? Imagine if we just let this happen. Give them 4 years. They're going to be having guns with switches on it. They're going to know where to go to get the drugs. Our community is just going to be taken over if we keep allowing this. So no, we're not having it. We are making sure we are on the front line fighting this, because if we don't do this, we don't stand a chance in Chicago, because we see that the crime is not just stopping with our communities. That's why we have all the businesses leaving downtown, because of the high crime and the high taxes. They're going over to the north side. It's in the west side. So it's a cancer. It's just not going to stop with us. It's spreading. So we can't allow this. We have a beautiful city we have to save. And that's what we plan on doing, saving our city.
Why do you think that Brandon Johnson is behind this? I mean, illegal aliens don't vote. You guys do. You're residents of the city. It doesn't seem to make any sense why he's supporting this. Do you know what's going on?
We think that the way he's acting like he's working for the cartel. And I think they do. Because you know that they're the dead vote here. And you know that we don't have voters ID. So, you know, and I seen when I was, they were giving driver's license. And when you go and get driver's license, then, you know, you're automatically registered to vote here. So when I was at the voting booth, I saw a lot of people who didn't speak English voting. So we don't, you know, I don't believe that they're not voting. I don't believe that we know that they vote. Like I said, we know that the system, the voting system, they do a lot of cheating here. So I think that's one of the things they want to stay in power. I think that Brandon Johnson, I don't like I said, he don't work for the American citizens. He don't care about Chicagoans, because the real Chicagoans don't want this. But he's hell bent on working with the Hispanic aldermen and with illegal aliens staying here. And like I said, we know the cartel is in with this. So you can't help but to think that they're getting paid off and this is what they want. He is a part of this progressive agenda with the Democratic Party. These people are your real Marxists, communists, and socialists. And I believe that they want to destroy these three. They think about what they did to California. It's almost over with. Illegal aliens have taken over California. They tried to do it with New York. Chicago was the last major city, and we the ones are fighting back. If they take down this, then they can bring all of that to Chicago. They want to try to bring more affordable housing here. They are not trying to build up. The businesses are leaving. If they want the government to run everything, government grocery stores, government everything. They're trying to turn us into a communism where we are just in poverty. We have to depend on the government, that nobody is, no businesses. And this is what I think they want. If they can do this, then they're taking over America. And they want to bring this communist socialist agenda. And what better way to do it is to saturate America with people who come from these countries who don't have no allegiance to Americans or America. Come bring them over, tell us to kill our babies, tell us that, you know, we don't matter, make sure they're the ones who are having more babies. So now you have a country that's built up of more foreigners than real Americans. If you allow that, they have no allegiance to America, then we get them in government, like the Democrat Party have allowed a lot of these foreigners to get into government, and all they're doing is advocating for things for their country or for their people. Everything is anti-American. If we keep allowing that, before you know it, they're taking over America. And what do we have here? It's not enough American citizens to even fight this. If we get a president like Biden, think about it. It's over for America. This is what I believe these people are trying to do. And they're trying to take over the three major cities. And if they do that, but we are not allowing it. And they're seeing their voter base get deported back. All their power, the Democratic, all their power is leaving because we're waking up. The Black citizens that keep them in power, Americans that's keeping them in power, we're waking up. So they have to bring these people in to stay in power. So that's what I believe that's happening. So Brandon Johnson, he's a part of that AOC, that Mandami, those people, that radical wing of the Democratic Party. That's who they are. And if we allow these people to do that, that's poisoning America. Because Brandon Johnson, they don't follow the Constitution. They don't even believe in the Constitution. He say everything President Trump is doing is unconstitutional. Yet every time we go down in the city council meeting, all of our rights have been violated. Freedom of speech, censorship, putting us out. We can't talk, the freedom of protest. Everything that we have done been violated. The Americans' constitutional right. So these are your real Marxists and communists. This is who these people are.
Danielle, after you finish cleaning up Chicago, my hope would be that you would create chapters of this group in other cities around the country, because I think you've perfectly represented the frustration of so many people that are almost behind enemy lines in these sanctuary cities and dealing with these crazy policies. So you've done such a great job. In closing, is there anything you want to tell people? Where can people find out about the work you're doing and learn more about it?
Yes, they can go to the website at chicagoflips.red, chicagoflips.red, and they .red.com. So and they can find us on social media at Chicago Flips Red on X. They can find us on email us at info@chicago.red. But I just want to say, and I want to just let everybody know, especially if you're in Chicago and Illinois, we're not for open borders. We're for American citizens first. Let's take care of America first. So all of these things that when you just look at policies, they don't make sense. If you're a true American, it don't make sense to you. What about your kids? What about your kids' future? What does that leave your kids' future if everybody else is prioritized over Americans? So we're just begging people to just research for themselves, to do the work. That when you see this don't make sense, ask yourself, why don't this make sense? And research, because the mainstream media is going to lie to you. They leave out key details that you should know, and they're only pushing one narrative. And we're just asking you all to please open your eyes and see what was happening. And that's all I can just ask of any American.
Okay, Danielle Carter Walters, thank you so much for joining us today. Please come back again. Give us an update on what you guys are doing and what's going on out there.
Yes, please have us back on. Like I said, Zoe, I'm sure she got stuck in a meeting because she had to. So we want to definitely get back on. And yeah, thank you all for definitely covering what's happening in Chicago, because the mainstream media won't. They're not going to cover it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Brian, that some pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, Danielle is just a ball of fire, isn't she? You got to love that enthusiasm. And I've seen so many of those videos where they're at the city council building, just making Brandon Johnson's life miserable, as many people would argue they should, because he has so wrecked that city with those sanctuary policies. And to see Danielle and her cohorts there just organizing and just pushing back on it is refreshing, especially in a city like Chicago.
Well, and I think it's flipped the whole political narrative on its head. If you listen to the traditional narrative, the Republicans are behind big business and wealthy interests and robber barons, and the Democrats are supporting the little guy. And in this case, that's not what's going on at all. Brandon Johnson and company really seem to be supporting foreign nationals over U.S. citizens, and the Trump administration seems to be supporting law and order and, small businesses and the little guy in American communities. And so it's really kind of interesting to see how the reality does not fit the narrative at all.
Yeah, Brandon Johnson must have nightmares about Danielle and her group, because they just destroy every narrative that he and his cohorts have pushed, that, people of color, people of moderate income, people who are city residents are all for these sanctuary policies, and they're not adversely affected by them at all. And as we heard from Danielle, that's the opposite of that is true.
No, I wish there were more Brandon Johnsons, not because they're policies, but what this is doing is it's taking regular Americans, it's making them aware of this issue, it's making them aware of the consequences of unchecked mass migration, and it's motivating them to do the fantastic stuff that these ladies are doing, get out, go to city council meetings, and to protest the way that they're being treated.
And also the message it sends to people, like I joked about starting chapters in other cities, but it would be a great thing, because I think her group has shown to activist-minded people in other cities, you don't have to live in fear. You don't have to be silenced by a powerful mayor who's just doing horribly destructive things to your city. You can speak up. You can make your voice heard. And when you do, as they are, other people will rally around you.
Amen.